Hello, welcome back. Today is August 11th, and we're doing stories about AI and space and nonsense because it's the best day. It's Friday.
And the best day, maybe, but you know who doesn't have the best AI? Google. But they're trying.
Google's AI search is getting more video and better links.
Didn't your just standard search engine do that just fine 10 years ago?
Yeah. Well, it's just because there's so much spam, but there's more spam coming. They're also summarizing videos. They sort of smashed in the thing that's like, hey, Google's also doing summaries of videos in some cases. But this is a whole bunch of changes.
I personally hate, especially with technical questions, when it gives me a YouTube video as the answer.
Oh my gosh.
That drives me crazy. But they're doing more and more of that, and this is going to enhance that.
YouTube.com/c/what.
I don't know how much to read into this, but there's one of the people that I know that's inside Google says there's a lot of internal upheaval in Google because the smart people sort of got entrenched, and internally a lot of things are being disrupted because they're approaching the same problems in new ways. And the people that used to be like the group that handled X are just being dismissed or fired or moved to somewhere else. And now they're handling X in some other completely different way, far more effectively than the old team. And so like people are freaking out.
Well, as you say, they are adding some features to YouTube, and they're going to hire more people. No, I'm just kidding. AI is going to do it.
YouTube uses AI to summarize videos in this latest test.
And yet you still can't downvote them if they're wrong.
They're never wrong.
Yeah.
Well, that used to be like a valid strategy. Like if you were looking up a solution to a problem, you could look at the dislike counter to see.
Maybe 1 in 100 times that I've done a search and it gives you the little timeline to tell you, like, I think the answer to what you're looking for is at this time index in a video. Like 1 in 10 times that has actually been exactly what I needed.
But YouTube has no interest in like letting you skip past ads or anything like that, even if it's like a baked in ad. So they're not going to summarize that, right?
Well, they're not only going to summarize everything, but they are going to dub things automatically. And I ask myself, because I watch the Pakistani reaction channel, do I want to hear other voices? I think I'd rather have the subtitles. I think I want the real experience.
Forget subtitles. YouTube now dubs videos with AI generated voices.
I wish that it's just screaming. Like that's what that image says.
I met somebody in the VFX industry at LTX, and they were showing me a demo of this on their phone from like a movie, like a big movie, and the dubbing, they're now replacing the actor's lips with AI so that it matches, and it was incredible. Like we pinched to zoom, and so it was just like on the whole phone screen. It was like, this is not, and they're like, no, we just put the and we just did the thing, and it's like, this is work, but it's not an insane amount of work. It looked very convincing.
I bet that if one of those people said something that is considered not allowed,
Yeah.
that it would just quietly redo it.
Yeah.
So reality bending is going to...
Well, I was going to, or the opposite, where like they have enough of a cache of things you've said with your lips and stuff, then they can just put words in your mouth, literally.
Well, that's the whole Hollywood argument right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, all of that would be no problem. If there was a German word where you could, say a bunch of things in a quarter of a second instead of the English equivalent, which took 4 seconds, no longer a problem.
Also, you should try is it Austrian soda? It's not German.
Well, how's the sugar going after you've eaten your ball of chocolate?
Oh yeah, do you feel like...
Totally... Oh yeah. Can't you tell I've perked up?
We're talking about like your allergy.
Yeah, your inability to...
It's a little tingly, but it's not, it is fading. So I don't think I'm going to have permanent damage, but...
So you're improving.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm definitely improving.
I wanted you to try your soda.
Well,
we haven't done an orange soda.
I'm improving to the point that I've slacked off on my cardio very slightly.
Oh.
The plateau.
Yeah.
It's tough. The plateau will get you. You know who's not improving? All the personal assistants from our past.
Literally all of them. Google Assistant to get an AI makeover.
They just put googly eyes on them.
Speaking of teams inside Google that got violently disrupted. Yeah, it turns out that you look around and it's, why is ChatGPT better than the original OG talking assistant? This is something criminal has happened here.
Resting on their laurels.
Yeah.
Yeah, they admit it. They are reorganizing the teams. They're getting rid of the dino babies is what they're doing.
Except in this case, the dino babies are 35.
Yeah, they know where the bodies are buried. That's your IT wizard.
And we have several of these floating around out there these days, but now Meta is throwing theirs into the ring.
Meta releases AudioCraft AI tool to create music from text. Well, it's about time because YouTube is still flagging Incompetech as spam or malicious links in videos because they want you to use their library, and that's not going to happen, Google.
Kevin MacLeod?
Yeah.
Really? Because
Yeah.
he's on their library.
Yeah, no, because if you link to, because you have to do the attribution
right.
thing, and it's like, oh, this is spam or deceptive links, and it's like, oh, they promised to whitelist it, but they haven't.
I included links to like Kentucky State Forestry Department website on one of the vlogs I did, and YouTube would not post it
Yeah,
because it was like, no, it's not safe.
and it's a .gov.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So you can get 3 different models with this thing, one for music and some for just like cleaning up audio and stuff like that. Seems interesting, I guess.
my favorite demo was they took classical music and it's like reimagine this as like punk electronica, and it was actually pretty good.
Well,
Asterisk, Wendell only listens to Weird Al.
Yeah,
his opinion on music is completely
doesn't matter.
He's the
It might be
no-wonder
good,
monologue of
but
music.
just
Yeah.
as an asterisk.
I could recognize the original, like Claire de
Melody.
Lune or Moonlight Sonata in whatever it produced, and was like, oh, that's recognizable.
But I bet you couldn't get one Cardi B track.
No, not a chance.
Tragic.
Well, Meta is trying to get us all to use its AI instead of ChatGPT, and they've realized it's like, well, with our user base, we're going to have a gimmick, and this is going to be the gimmick.
Meta is reportedly planning an Abe Lincoln chatbot as part of a public AI push.
Who asked for this?
I think it's got to be an obscure Futurama joke, right? Because that was one of the jokes in Futurama, is the Abe Lincoln bot.
Well, Abe will only be the first of many of they will be doing as personality chatbots. So who do you think comes second? Think we'll ever get Andrew Jackson?
I want them to take the epic rap battles of history. The guy that did was it Roosevelt? The guy that did Roosevelt in the epic rap battles of history. That was good. That was a good YouTube video.
Once again, it has to be music with some sort of gimmick lyrically.
Yeah. You put all your points into tech. Like you can't be good at everything.
It was with the lyrics were very clever.
Well, when it comes to training big AI, none of us can hope to do that with our home equipment, at least not in a realistic amount of time. We just don't have the power yet. Maybe the superconductor revolution will change that, but it's going to take some time. In the meantime, Nvidia has a novel solution.
Nvidia AI image personalization method fits on a floppy disk and takes 4 minutes to train. This is a lot of headline words to explain that you take your cat pictures and you give it to the thing, and then it'll take your cat pictures and stick it in the whatever you asked it for. So it's like, hey, take my cat and replace it in this picture of Lieutenant Commander Data in a chair, and it would say, zoop, there you go.
Looks like it does a pretty good job. Can't have too many AI generated cat pictures. And this is a weird headline because, you just press that little button that says show desktop site. You could have had it all along.
ChatGPT for Android is now available
Yay.
as an app. Who cares? Use the web.
More tracking. And ChatGPT does have some automatic controls. Obviously, people have pointed that out, and it's gotten worse for it. But like many of the social media and big tech things, there's actually an army of very, very low paid humans who are behind some of that. And much like Facebook moderators who claim that it ruined their lives, well, actually, it's exactly like that.
Content moderators who worked on ChatGPT say they were traumatized by reviewing graphic content. "Quote unquote, it has destroyed me completely." What did they review? Well, some people had written very elaborate text prompts for things, which were extremely disturbing.
Yeah, the worst kind of thing that we can't even mention. But just imagine what the worst thing is. And they
It's
asked,
worse than that.
they asked ChatGPT to deal with them on that. These people have to go through and, I guess, categorize all of that. They get paid an average of about $2 an hour. Although, in Africa, that's a lot more cost of living than anywhere else. But still,
Still dark.
we won't read any of these words.
Can we?
But I mean, you can imagine what it is. The worst things about humanity.
Yeah, it's just at some point those people will be able to dispatch the human chipper shredder. It's like, oh, we've got a chipper shredder on number. It's like, okay, and it's just you get pureed.
There won't even be humans, right? It'll be bots.
Turned into fertilizer.
They'll harvest your eyes for the world coin and shred the rest of you. Maybe your organs.
Yeah,
I could sell your organs.
you could save a child.
Well, we got new AI models coming every week, and now one of the big names. But will they have one that competes?
Chinese tech giant Alibaba challenges Meta with open source AI model launch. And yes, this does seem to be competitive. It's better at math and some types of questions that I don't want to call it reasoning questions, but questions that are more non-obvious answer, I guess.
Alibaba.
What's
I'm spitballing titles.
Remember the article that we had that said that you needed government approval to release any kind of model like that? So doesn't that suggest a top-down involvement because Alibaba's not supposed to be working on this kind of technology, according to that article from a couple of weeks ago.
I got news for you. Top-down involvement's here too.
We need an AI model that's not going to talk about the Facebook files or the Twitter files.
Exactly, yeah.
Or Tiananmen Square or any of that.
And AI continues to be the darling of the investing community. And if you are going to do a conference call, you better have right on the palm of your hand, talk about AI over and over and over.
Companies double down on AI in June quarter analyst calls. That's because the news about the superconductor wasn't in, and now all these investor groups are like, which stock should we short because it's the superconductor news?
What you have to do for the next quarter is superconducting AI. Mix them together.
We should just put AI, sprinkle it throughout our Patreon and float plane pitches.
Wait, what are we pitching on Patreon and Floatplane?
Just supporting us. We should just put the word AI randomly sprinkled in.
If you give us money, there'll be more AI.
More AI.
Well, there's going to be more AI in the sky. And this is a big fella, too. One of the biggest ever, actually.
Largest commercial electric drone approved.
I wish they had a better photo.
It can dump 500 pounds of pesticide over an area in a completely automated way.
And it's got hot swap batteries. So it goes and it dumps its pesticides and it comes back and you swap the battery and you fill it back up and you send it back out to do it again.
Yeah, it takes longer to fill it than it does to swap the batteries.
Elon Musk hates it. And India have really been stepping up their space program. And when you do that, things like this happen.
Space junk. India says object found in Australia is theirs. Oops.
Sorry, bro.
Our bad.
But they don't want it back.
It's just space waste.
They're going to let Australia keep it. Australia's going to put it in a museum.
Oh, cool.
It's not very impressive looking.
I guess if you had a aerospace museum, that would be interesting, though.
Probably you polish it up, get some of that pond scum off of it.
Yeah.
And if you're one of those people, like during the last presidential election, people had the giant meteor stickers.
Yeah.
It's it's getting so bad. And 5 years from now, we're going to have superconducting AI robots coming around just hunting us. Maybe it's better we just wrap it all up. Well, there's hope.
Space scanning algorithm spots a potentially hazardous 600-foot asteroid.
It's probably not going to hit us.
No, this is definitely It was funny because in the article they're like, this warning system is useful for scientists, but not so much for the public because it's very low chance.
But it does show that we can pinpoint very small objects in space. Mm-hmm. So that's probably useful.
Didn't we have one that they were like, oh, it's going to hit us? It was 1,600 feet and then it didn't hit us. So.
Wouldn't you think, based on all the whole UFO business, wouldn't we be picking up some blips on that?
Oh, those are apparently gravitational wave.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe one alien is still rocking whatever their version of the Kia Hyundai is, and we'll catch that one. They didn't install the gravitational wave on that year.
It catches on fire in space somehow.
There is one tinfoil hat theory that I really like, which is the saucer shape of you know, like some of the old like VHS 1980s, like the saucer shape. That's what the black hole looks like side on. We didn't know what black holes looked like in the 80s and 90s, and the reason for that is because it distorts space or time or uses gravity. I don't know. And it's like, oh, it does a saucer shape, you know, it does kind of look like a saucer if you didn't know that was a picture of a black hole.
Also, a pretty, like, if you're, because in space you don't need to be aerodynamic, it seems like a utilitarian shape
Yeah.
if you're going to build something like a symmetrical circle.
And yet, we haven't built anything like that.
Well, we do have one little guy who is, they're roughly round, and he's out there in the cosmos, but there's been a bit of a mishap.
NASA detects signal from Voyager 2 after losing contact due to sending it a wrong command.
Literally just turned it like 2 degrees and then screwed up its position to Earth.
Yeah, so it's been trying to talk to somebody that's not there.
Like, in terms of stomach drop moments at your job, when you realize you gave it the command to turn 2 degrees, so you're just like,
Well,
Go ahead.
they point out that the guys running this program are the same guys from the 70s because none of the new people have learned anything about this.
yeah.
So it's literally the dino babies running this thing, and they're dying off and probably getting dementia.
Sorry. We're going to get an angry comment that's like, that's me.
I am the dino.
I
baby.
watched your damn show.
I mean, to be fair, aren't we kind of getting up there slowly too?
We're just falling apart.
By the tech industry standards.
Yeah, this is that whole thing where it's like, you know, you hit a point and it's like, yeah, we can just do you with AI or someone who doesn't cost a quarter of you. But we do have a little bit more job security than this part of the economy because, oh boy, do I hate this, but it's happening everywhere and we can't stop it.
No cashiers. Kroger location converts entirely to self-checkout.
That is never going to work.
I always feel bad for the elderly people I see struggling with this in Kroger.
Or people who are maybe disabled, even temporarily. Like, they can't lift some of the really heavy items. Like, how are they going to get that up over the register? I guess they have the scanning gun, but like you still have to move stuff around.
I've seen the Kroger manager checking out like an 80-year-old in the self-checkout.
As someone who used to work the U-Scan, I was the person who had to go, like an old person would come through and be like, I don't know how to do it. And then I'd have to check their whole order with just the handgun.
I love not dealing with human beings, but I still go to the actual cashier every time because self-checkout is such a bad experience.
I don't mind it for small orders, but like a big order, I'll go through the big one.
It's a dark future. And, you know, people have been predicting, right? All the jobs are going to be gone. What we're going to be doing, we're going to be living in the pods and eating the bugs.
Trader Joe's unexpected broccoli cheddar soup may contain insects. That's not the unexpected part.
Well, I didn't expect it.
They're recalling it. It wasn't supposed to have insects.
So it turns out that frozen broccoli probably has insects in it.
I can believe that.
There's a tolerable amount, but for whatever reason, this soup is just
full.
packed with them. Yeah. It's oops all insects.
From my limited attempts to grow stuff in the Nebraska family, the bugs do love it. And it's impossible to get a harvest. Or at least I've struggled with it. Partly because it's too hot here as well.
Well, some bugs love broccoli. Other bugs love people. And this is a story that we've learned a lot about. Although you don't have this specific thing, right?
I've got 3 of the 4 markers.
You got a variation.
Yeah. Red meat allergy caused by ticks is an emerging public health concern, according to the CDC.
Someone messaged us on Patreon and like sent us this article and was like, "This is what Wendell has?" And I was like,
basically, yeah.
Yeah. So we've known about this for quite some time, but for whatever reason, more and more.
It's a huge spike the last couple of years. And this happened to me because I was working outside.
That's the Lone Star tick.
Yeah.
I had a Lone Star tick bite last year. No rash though.
This little monster could cost you your enjoyment of so many things.
I'm only just now starting to feel better.
Well, if you're wondering, how can we get these sort of horrible diseases? How can we not control them? Well, this might be the kind of thing that leads to spreading them and causing problems.
The CDC has detected the thing that's probably still on the list, HIV, hepatitis, and herpes at an unlicensed California lab. They're just...
What a party they're having there.
It's a free country, right?
And when we say lab, it was really a dilapidated building pretending to be something else.
It's just shipping containers.
There's really no information about why and what was going on
I
here.
like to imagine that all the diseases are just in those boxes.
No, they were like unrefrigerated, just sort of laying around, petri dishes, I think. And the only reason we found out about this is because there was one health inspector who was like the James Bond of health inspectors.
Committed to his job.
And he saw a garden hose coming out of the wall. And he was like, why is there a garden hose coming out of the wall? And just doggedly investigated until they... Now, this was abandoned by the time they found it. But at some point, they were doing some weird low-budget disease research here.
That was actually just a movie because it's California, but they wanted the realism.
I would hope that would be the best case scenario.
And you might be thinking, well, the tick disease is bad, but that's the worst news about disease we're going to get this week, right? Wrong.
A case report of leprosy in Central Florida. This is from 2022, but it showed up and it was confirmed.
Now, we will get a leprosy here and there in America, but it's usually somebody who's been traveling or who's been exposed to something, and they very quickly get to the bottom of it's like, oh, yes, this is where you might have picked that up. This guy claims none of it.
Can't you treat it pretty easily with modern like antibiotics? I might be wrong.
I think it's one of these
If
things.
you catch it early.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to get to it in time. There's some pictures here that are awful. He was pretty covered in it.
It was like my thing. It's like, oh, there's no way that that's happening. And then they dug into it and it's like, well, I guess that's what it was, but you're just really super unlucky. And then we get this article, a year later that's like, this is happening to everybody.
Faster than expected.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just some indicators that society continues to fall apart as we battle each other.
We're in the nonsense section, by the way, if you can't tell.
And Sonic apparently no longer a safe place to be.
Man thrusts American flag through another man's head at
what
a
about
Sonic in Oklahoma. Yeah. Sonic's a drive-in restaurant here. Still have
USA.
That's what surprised me is like there's really no place for people to commune at Sonic.
Stuff
Some
you
of them
took as
have like
parking
the
spot.
outdoor, like
Oh, you
seating.
think it was a parking spot?
Road rage.
Where do you think he
flag.
got the flag?
It was in his car.
Or we just had 4th of July. A lot of times people put them in their planters outside.
So this guy took the flag and it had the little point, like the flagpole on it, with the flag still attached, and put it through the jaw, came out the temple, and they had to saw the flagpole off to get him in the ambulance.
Oh, that's some Celebrimbor shit.
And they got the quote from this guy was, "That's what he gets."
Wow.
They didn't say what he did.
How do you not immediately have that moment of like, your rage, and then like you do that and it's like, I've gone too far.
Maybe he was really upset. He got those tater tots in him and just
Raged out.
Wow. And the real estate market, it's probably a tough time to be selling your house for sure. You got to trust your real estate agent, and there are some things that they can do that will destroy your trust.
Real estate agent finds $20,000 for chugging container of milk in seller's house.
Now this guy, this was Canada. This guy claims
It's
that
a bagged milk.
he claims he was taking a new medication, and
That made him crave calcium?
well, that made him thirsty. But it's like, do they not have municipal water in this house? Like, just get yourself a handful.
Or wouldn't you have a water bottle with you? Like if that was a routine problem?
Seems like there's so many ways to solve this problem other than stealing the milk.
If only I had the lttstore.com water bottle.
You've still got this soda that you haven't tried.
Oops. Yeah, I gotta put it in the fridge. I think maybe that'll
it
be
too warm?
for the
Yeah,
But if
stream
it-
don't
tonight.
drink that warm.
But this would be so authentic because German and I don't know about Austrian people, but German people drink their soda warm.
Maybe on the stream later.
Twitch.tv/TeamPGP.
Also in Canada, they are doing some drinking, but it is not orange soda. It's something considerably stronger, and the bad part is where they're doing it.
Toronto police to shut down bar in headquarters after drunk driving crash. So there was a bar in police headquarters because policing is very dark and hard, I suppose. But then they were driving around after. And it was bad.
Did you know, you probably do know this, that in our sleepy little town here, the university is no alcohol. except for one place. Guess where it is?
The police training
The
thing.
Criminal Justice Department. Yeah.
Nice.
Seems like they get special rules wherever they go.
Weird how that happens.
And you know who else gets special treatment? Because she is so powerful with her magnetism and her talent that she can actually rock the crust of the earth.
Taylor Swift's Seattle fans caused earthquake during her Eras tour stop. 2.3 on the Richter scale, if I remember.
Confusing because the headline says Seattle fans and then it says Santa Clara, California.
No, she's currently in Santa Clara in the tour.
Yeah, but the headline says her Seattle fans, which implies.
This was in Seattle.
But this.
Right now, she's in.
Now in
Oh,
California.
that's
Yeah,
confusing.
I mean, it's not great.
Yeah,
I think that was some kind of signal from the author that they are a Swift stan.
a Swiftie
A
is the word.
Swiftie, yeah.
Yeah.
So
The previous record was 2.0 at a football game. So she's more powerful than the Seahawks.
They're gonna set off the Cascadia subduction zone.
would President Swift be any worse than anything we've had so far?
I don't know.
Can you imagine the album after that?
She goes like goth metal, just like super dark.
No, I'm imagining like the same style of songs, but instead of like breakup songs and stuff, it's all like terrible stuff about our government agencies.
What if Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was actually about Taylor Swift bringing about world peace and excellence to fellow mankind?
I got to think that there's some people in Washington who would oppose that. Well, we learned that, remember Kanye had his school?
Yeah,
And
odd.
it did not do well.
I was disappointed to read about this.
Yeah. It seems that maybe putting your kids in a celebrity branded school might always be a bad idea.
8th graders at LeBron James I Promise School haven't passed a single math test in 3 years. And the school responds that they're in it for the long haul and they'll figure it out.
But how long are you in this school? Isn't it like 3-4 years probably the
How many
entire-
times can they fail you? I guess it should be indefinite.
But no, they weren't failing them. This was the state test. So they would pass LeBron's thing, and then they go and take the state test, and they would perform as like, "Are you even conscious?" And they got no
You
explanation.
spelled your own name wrong.
I'm all for experimental and innovative pedagogical techniques. I can't say that word.
Yeah, but
Word you've read but never said out
Yeah.
loud. I have a lot of words
I don't
like
think
that.
LeBron is necessarily known for his reading and writing skills.
No, but if he can use the money to find some people
You-
that
yeah,
know what they're doing.
The issue is though, like, you don't know what you don't know,
Mm.
and you try to hire educators and you don't have any background in education, you're probably not gonna know what to look for.
Now, I'm not a follower of LeBron James, so I don't know if he's smart or he's not. It could be. But there's a great press release clip that you can go find on the internet where he goes to a basketball presser. He's got a book in his hand. And one of the reporters is like, "Oh, I see you're reading such and such." And she asks him a question regarding the book. And he like gets uncomfortable. He's like, "Well, I just started it, but you're obviously a really smart man." Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I think that was a prop book.
Why would you not just carry a book you like?
Why would you carry one that you haven't read?
Who was the guy whose name that starts with a V that was often starring opposite Arnold Schwarzenegger? I need to get him to run the school. He's smart.
You talking about?
I don't know.
No, I think you're confusing Van Damme with the other guy.
Vin Diesel.
No.
You're thinking about the guy who played the evil guy in the Superman movie
I think so.
because he's got some kind of
He's got a chemistry degree.
right.
Yeah, that guy. That guy needs to come run the LeBron James school. That would be awesome.
I don't think he wants that job.
No, he doesn't.
Well, and
Which is
just-
why he's the perfect person to do it.
Also, just because you're smart in one subject doesn't mean you know how to teach.
He'll know if they're learning or not.
You're putting a lot of faith into it.
He came out of retirement, and then that was the beginning. We got to do something because I want kids that are enthusiastic about superconductors. How do we get that?
Well, maybe we should take LeBron out of the education game, put him into biology, and let him work on this project.
Scientists resurrected an extinct animal frozen for 46,000 years in Siberia. I have so many questions about this because I didn't think that DNA DNA just naturally breaks down because it's slightly acidic, right? So how did it last 46,000 years? Or did these evolve to last 46,000 years and it was in a state of very,
Or
very slow
did they Frankenstein it together like the plot of the popular novel Jurassic Park by Michael
So
Crichton?
many questions, and none of those are answered in all of these words.
Well, they claim not. They claim that they just thought it out and gave it some food, whatever it eats, there in the petri dish, and they're asexual.
So that's not resurrecting it. That's just thawing it.
So yeah, and they
Just reheated it like a microwave.
like 10 minutes after they gave it some food and thawed it out, it just started spraying eggs everywhere.
Like literally, it wasn't dead. It has evolved to do that.
It's some kind of thing.
Do you think that first generation were haunted by like 46,000 years of dreams? I think probably the biggest answer to your question is these are so simple,
Yeah.
right? Like they're basically just little molecules.
It's gonna crawl up your nose and lay eggs in it.
We say that, but it's probably got 40, 50 megabytes of DNA.
Well, moving on to the animal section, and this week we have 2 animal stories which are like blur the lines between reality and fiction when it comes to animals.
This is gonna mess up some person's AI training data set.
This is incredible.
Japanese man who spent $14,000 to transform into a dog takes his first public walk, and the very first thing in the YouTube video is him rolling around on the ground, and the only thing that would have been on my mind is I'm getting my $14,000 fursuit dirty.
The guy in the $14,000 suit. Oh,
Yeah.
it played music.
Yeah, it just
So yeah,
just why? No.
it
please
looks
stop.
like it looks like bad robotics, don't you think?
Yeah, it really does.
But there's a dude in there.
He
Sure, too much.
really should have saved his money and learned how to move like a dog. He should have taken some dance lessons.
Every time I click, it jumps forward, which is why we can't catch the roll.
You don't need to see
Go
the
watch
roll. Just go watch the video.
Go watch the video; it's worth
The
it.
picture is disturbing enough, but the video makes it new level.
But this is,
Also-
if you're a furry, pay attention. This is how it's done.
Also, the most interesting thing about this video is the woman who is praising him and treating him like a dog.
He identifies as a dog. That's his right.
But is she paid to do that? Is she part of this? I want to know what her role is.
No,
Is
she's
it her
just-
spouse?
She's just trying to be polite.
Just found her somewhere. Went up and nuzzled her.
It's a lot more creepy when it's a person in a dog suit than an actual dog.
Oh, did we missort this?
No.
I
Well,
thought we had another dog story.
I don't sort nonsense. Here,
There we
I'll
go,
fix it. Or, well, it's not a dog story. Is that the one you're thinking?
But yeah, it's like another suit costume.
Yeah, it's the same. Like what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
Chinese sun bear waves in new footage as expert says animals aren't humans in costume.
It looks like
It
somebody
really
in
does.
costume.
But only when it stands up. It looks more bear-like when it's,
It needs to be fatter.
yeah, it's like got a huge head and a tiny body.
But the mouth, if that is a mouth, it's some kind of like space age animatronic because it looks great in terms of being a bear. But that is a weird looking animal.
I love that. Look at his little wrinkly butt.
Now they explain the wrinkled skin is apparently if a predator pins one of these things down, their skin is so loose they can turn around inside their own skin
Oh,
Nice.
to like fight back against the predator. But yeah, it just looks like a poor fit.
It's going to be super awkward if the non-human intelligences look more like that than they do us.
what if that's Bigfoot?
That might be. That's a good point, Krista.
Everyone's always like, oh, it's a costume, but what if he just looks like that?
Yeah, what if there was just some bears that learned to walk on their hind legs?
Somebody's gonna jump that fence and try to fight that, thinking it's a human.
That's going to be bad news.
And here's some good news, I guess. I mean, it's probably good that things aren't dying off.
Brazil's golden monkeys swing from near extinction to thousands.
There were 200 left in the wild back in the 70s. They were dying due to yellow fever, and now there's like 4,000.
Do you think that the monkeys, the younger monkeys these days, are like, Mom, I don't want to hear about it anymore. I get it. You had a hard time.
I know that's why your marriage is failing, because you only had dad to pick.
Also, 200, do they not suffer from the genetic repercussions of that we do?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Well, we've learned that just as
This is the worst thing that I've learned this year, is that how terrible manatees are.
it seems that, comparable to the behavior of the Florida man is the Florida manatee. because week after week, their bad behavior is showcased in these headlines.
I'm going to give you a translated headline. Florida cops, please stop calling us if you see a giant pile of manatees on the beach. They're not suffering, even though it sounds like they're suffering. They're fine.
But it's not on the beach. It's usually in the shallow water. And they describe it as looking like the water is boiling because of the level of activity.
Well, they do those canoe rides where it's like the glass bottom canoe or whatever, so you can watch the manatees, and then they're doing this.
But Wendell, last week you missed there was a casualty from two brother manatees who were taking their aggression out in this manner on one another.
Yeah, there's been a lot of bad manatee press lately.
It's a rough life out there on those Florida beaches, I guess. But they say don't mess with them because that's worse than. And also,
They don't like to be interrupted.
they could, they're so unwieldy that if you were trying to like pull one off the other one, it could roll on top of you.
Oh, you don't want to be involved in that.
No.
It's dark.
And finally, I can't help but invoke my battery technology superconductor.
I also
fusion.
felt skeptical of this, but it is exciting if it's true.
Imagine if we get superconductivity and we erase cancer all in the same year. What does that look like for humanity?
New chemotherapy can kill all solid tumors in animal trials.
It is moving into human trials soon.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
What if all the UFO sightings lately were, like the UFOs showed up in like the 70s and they met with Nixon and they're like, all right, look, you guys, I can't believe you haven't invented this stuff yet. You're going to have to come out with these technologies to get yourselves up to speed for entering the galactic stage. And we haven't done any of these things. And they're, all right, we're going to give you guys like another year to get this stuff out. Otherwise, we're going to show up and bring this technology. And so we get all this thing in like the 11th hour.
What if the aliens, they've been in league with the leadership for all this time, but they're like, listen, guys, we elected a new guy and he's not going to keep the secret anymore. So really quickly, you guys got to roll out superconductivity. You got to cure cancer. You got to get all the technologies we've been giving you out to the public so they don't know that you've been hiding it from them.
Yeah.
Since you met us.
Yeah. Just to save face. It's like, oh, you've had superconductors the whole time. And it's like, listen, we needed the F-99 super stealth superconductor space bending flying saucer thing that also you get cancer when you drive it, but we've got the solution to that.
I really like this image. It reminds me of those ice cream cones where it's like strawberry with the cookies on the outside. I would eat that cancer cell.
The worst,
Delicious.
the worst case of that could be like the aliens are like, hey guys, we're ready to harvest, but we need you to clean up the meat before we get it. So we don't want any tumors to be in it. So here, we're going to give you this.
But apparently it's almost every type of tumor, any solid tumor, which is pretty neat. We'll see if they can replicate it in other studies. But
Neat. So far, seems like it's again, guarded optimism for replication on the superconductor thing, but also insane that they've been able to do it in a week, like just randos on the internet. Russian cat girl was able to replicate the process and create levitating flakes.
I knew they would say this. The cat girls will lead us into the brave future.
The revolution.
Neat.
All right. Meow chat. Bye.